G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute. Today I'm joined again by Astropub or Paul and Algared. How are you guys doing today on Crusader Tumbril Day? Interesting combo that I don't think we've had before.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it's happened before for Invictus or IAE. I remember it because the problem is that neither of those manufacturers have enough vehicles or ships to justify, their own standalone.
They were comboed with a lot of the other smaller ones, and now because they've got grown a bit, I think they've separated them a little bit. The interesting thing we were talking about too before was that Crusader, the first ship they ever made, is still not out yet, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, but we'll kick it straight over to the browser. For some reason, for me, it is not loading the videos, Crusader and Tumbril, so we'll just have to live with that. And I think we'll kick it.
Go ahead. $1 internet. That's
what it is. Oh no. It's us into the world internet is what I'd call it. Yeah. The internet is fine here. It's just that it's got to go so far and it's got to go through everyone else that's trying to get it. So Crusader Ares, really briefly, we will do a buyer's guide on this. We just are swamped, as Paul will tell you at the moment, so we might leave those to December. But your thoughts, Paul, on the Ares, and that's also the Ion and the Inferno. So yeah, maybe I'll give you one each, but yeah, you take which one you want, and tell me what your
thoughts. So here's the thing: the price for the Ares is reasonable for what it does.
Yep,
it's not a good value, but it's not a ripoff. It's not a prowler situation. Like I can imagine its in-game price is going to be like commiserate with its actual price. And it's a fighter, but I think it's a very unique fighter. And if everybody likes A10s, no one doesn't like the brrr, so you either have the space Burt or the space sniper ship, both of which are great.
Now, Algared, I feel that it's the type of ship that would complement a squadron. It really kind of needs to be part of a squadron. What's your thoughts on that and the Ares in general?
Well, I think you're right. It's certainly not a ship that can do what Jimmy did and blow up an Idris by itself, unless it's a derelict without its shields and everything else going. I think that's a bit of. But
they did mention in the video they did mention it was a derelict. It was like
I did say unless it was a derelict, but I think it's the type of ship that you really do need a squadron, and Jimmy did need Jax to turn up and in the other one and kind of power through it as well. So it is a ship where getting several of these working together is going to be deadly against large ships. The danger I think that the Ares has is always with those small fighters that getting close, and I think once that's the case, you'll have bad they'll have difficulty. But that was always something we always said would be the case. It would be great against the larger ships, but then once you get the fighters in, that's its paper versus scissors situation.
Right. Whoa, Algared. Whoa, no more. We'll save the rest for the review. This is not a review, but you're getting into review territory. Yeah. But yes, yeah. So I agree with you, though. I agree with everything. But yeah, we need to save stuff for the review, or they won't come back to watch. But yeah,
that's just a teaser. It's just.
Long story short,
I know our audience well enough to know that they'll just pull it. Oh, new Inforunner is just a video. It's about a ship. I'll watch it.
Yeah. So long story short, in consensus, what Paul said, I totally agree with. It's got its role. It walks that line between on expense, but it doesn't. It's not so good on value. But yeah, I can see why people like it, and I bet you they sold a metric ton of these ships, even though it's a virtual item that weighs nothing.
Yeah, I will also say, prepare for it to get nerfed. That's the thing. Like, don't chase meta. Never chase meta in Star Citizen. If something is really good, one patch, don't buy it because it's good, because it could get completely toned down or destroyed. It happened with the Arrow. It's happened in the past with multiple different types of weapons and weapon systems and ships. It happened with the Saber. It happened with the Talon. Don't if you just because it's the Defender. Just because it's the meta ship at the moment doesn't mean that it won't get changed in the next patch. And with 316 around the corner,
Yeah. So beware Redeemer owners.
Yeah,
no, same thing.
With the A2, now I remember doing an episode with Hayes and Dyson way back when this ship came out, and I remember having this big rubber stamp that said no, 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 because it is very expensive for what it is, and I still think it's an earning game. I don't think I can put it in any other way. Like there are things I like about it. I can see the excitement factor of it, but you can just get so much more. Like, well, you can literally get a C2 and M2, and you can get 2 ships or 1. Like, it's just crazy. So I just can't justify it. But your thoughts there, Paul, on the A2?
It's a gimmick, and it's a gimmick that's going to be very short-lived.
Yep.
That's the reality. I mean, it's nice. Like, an A2 can support a tonk. It does have a lot of cargo space. It is a great support ship. But CIG's already said that they want to make a smaller bomber that's dedicated bomber. So this isn't going to be the only ship that's going to be dropping bombs. So
in a nutshell, that kind of goes back to that what order to sell ships in from worst to best type thing. And yeah, obviously this one is the big dollar one, and if they bring out another one that's a lot lower, and then one in the middle, and the middle one's probably going to be the best bet again, because it's got a slightly bigger bomb, but it's got the maneuverability, but not the smaller bomb that Smallman has.
I'm looking forward to the Anvil, to either the mini Anvil bomber or the medium Aegis war crime.
Aegis war crime, that'd be actually quite funny. It'd be a good name for one.
I got the impression that and correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, because my memory of lore might be a bit shoddy here, but the not Gladiator, the Gladiator and the Retaliator, although they're torpedo bombers, in lore they've also been used as ground bombers, as normal, traditional, drop ordinary bombs, and so
and they may get that functionality.
They're already in lore ships that do that.
They may get that functionality back, but if they can use it to sell more ships, that's the question. Essentially, at the end of the day, no, do they give that back to those ships, or do they make whole new ships that they can sell?
Well, we also know that they're going to be making a whole new ship that they're selling because of CitizenCon. That was one of the ships.
It's like the only image I don't have prepared, Paul. You not helping with the slides, Paul. But there's an image. Yeah, tell them, Paul.
So essentially, everything you saw on the CitizenCon thing that had a bunch of different aspects. It was like the Explorer, the hover bike, the ground vehicle, and a bomber. The ground vehicle is already out there. That was the Spartan. The Explorer is going to be the Odyssey, which we'll talk about on Mist today. The hover vehicle is going to probably be something like Consolidated Outland or something like that.
Which means it'll be rubbish.
All right, there you go, Paul. Yeah. There you go. I found it.
And then there's a bomber ship, and they said specifically it's going to be like a bomber. So and all of those ships are being made. Like this is the same thing they did in 2019. All of those ships were made. This is the same thing that's going to happen. All of these ships are going to be made.
So I'd expect C and D at Invictus, essentially. That's what I'm expecting. But
So don't buy an A2 because you like a bomber, because you could get a bomber for discount, or even bomber pylons added to or bomber modules
and gladiators, and
that's a module. That's a sales pitch, a module for the Retaliators and Gladiators. So when you get modularity, you can swap those torpedoes out for bomb.
And people would buy them.
Yeah.
Now I was working before the show.
Buyer beware.
I was working before
$750 for a gimmick.
I was working before the show while you guys were talking to SA, and I remember SA mentioning something about the CCU chains, that you'll be at such a cheap A2. And so I will have to put that into the CCU chain guide at the end. But with what he was saying, if already you might get a A2 Hercules cheaper than Warbond with the CCU chain. So that's something also, if you are into an A2, you might be able to get one for cheaper with the CCU chain. We talked about these two, so we'll move right on to the Herc. So, Paul, tell me about the... I'll wrap them together, C2 and M2. Tell me...
Why would you buy an M2 when you can get a Liberator? That's the question I have. Like it's not that the M2 doesn't have its place, but why would you spend the money for it? Because I don't think the Liberator replaces the M2, but that they have their roles. But like when you're thinking about cash money, why would you do that?
For $30. Like, for $30, that's kind of ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. That's so.
Yeah.
Like
I could see getting a C2 over a Liberator, but
because the
M2 over a Liberator, it's
The only reason I'd use an M2 over a Liberator is because the M2 is unreasonably maneuverable in atmosphere, and it's been a couple of patches since it's been released, and it's still maneuverable. So unless they go through and completely nerf the flight modules for everything, that's its purpose. And I know that's a lot of people are like, why is it so maneuverable? It's like because the Liberator's coming.
Because it's Crusader, and that's what they do.
Yeah, and they want to make sure that these ships have a role, and these ships are insanely maneuverable in atmosphere, which is their whole gig.
Just to kind of back you up there, this is faster and more maneuverable than the Redeemer. I was chasing Space Tomato the other day and I couldn't catch him, and this thing was it's getting a nerf 100%.
Now, having said that, and I know this is probably going back into kind of video-y type review, I actually think the Ares is probably a better, because of its flight characteristics being Crusader, it would be a better ground buster than capital ship buster.
The Ares?
Because of it.
You're right, Algared. That is good for the video. Shut up! But that's fine. Right. No, sorry. I'm going to cut you off there, Algared. You are right. You are right. I agree with you, though.
I'd finished.
Yeah. The Disco Genesis. Give me your thoughts on the Disco Genesis, please, Algared.
It's hard to work out because it used to be everything of the only ship that Crusader had. It was the first ship I had. And it's been split off into everything else, the Starlifter, and yet it's, even though it was the first they developed, it's still not out. And it's a 747 passenger plane.
I do wonder if we don't see it soon, if we will not see it for a long time. I'm almost wondering at this point if it's on a reconcepting, because it's like 2014, I believe it was.
I remember recently. It was either in an ISC or a post that Jared did, maybe a Twitter post that the Genesis is going under reconcept.
Oh, really?
So it's in there is noise in the office about it getting next on the block.
So that makes a lot of sense.
And I know they changed the look as well, because to fit more of what they were talking about changing the look, because it needed. I think it was John Crew and Nathan talking about the look of the ship. So they've got the look of Crusader now set down with C2 and talking about reshaping the Genesis so it fits that look better.
And I think the role of it has been kind of taken too. Like I don't think it'll have the vehicle. I think it's going to have a much more kind of like what they did with the Redeemer, where they focus it into the gunship. I think this is going to focus more into the patronage of the people, not the vehicles and stuff. Much more people transporter.
I know when they originally talked about it, I think it's a regular. It had a small first class area and a large general area, so it was literally a 747. But they also talked about having just luxury versions and
that makes a lot of sense.
The president of the UEE flies one of those like Air Force One type thing. Yeah. So they do trick them out, but what versions we're going to see?
I want to see like an Astropub propaganda bomber version where it just dropped pamphlets out the back. That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be funny. All right. The Mercury. One thing someone pointed out today, they've renamed the Mercury's CCUs and all that, so they all say Mercury now, not Star Runner. So that's an interesting choice. I still think this is one of the best daily drivers in the game for me personally, especially when you put it at the value up against an Ares. $10 more, you gain a lot more, in my opinion. But of course, you're giving up the niche of one thing for the versatility and the more jack of all tradesness. So you've got to weigh that up for yourself, what you prefer, obviously. Paul, your thoughts on the MSR, or Mercury now, as they call it? Because it's smuggling. It's in your vein, yeah?
Yes, it is my vein. It is the problem with the Mercury Star Runner is that it's built for gameplay which doesn't exist yet. And I think we've already talked about
we have to death. The stilts, essentially, the stilts.
The stilts. Yeah, it's a good ship for the future of the game. And right now it does really well. If you want a ship that has a ton of like personal inventory space, is fairly maneuverable and can go for days. You slap a Jaeger on this bad boy and you can like go anywhere super fast and like have nothing but quantum fuel left. This thing is insanely good for traveling. Like it is going to be the ship to use when you're going through Pyro, because you can just get anywhere fast and just sip quantum fuel. Like it's nuts how good this thing is.
Yeah, it just needs an oily rag and it's fine.
Yep. Yeah, I do agree. Pyro's going to really change the perspective of the way a lot of people look at ships, like a lot.
Yep.
It's going to change everything, even for us. Like we're trying to do that as a group, but I still think even till we see it, it's not going to have the proper effect. Algared, thoughts on the Mercury?
I was going to finish up, but just saying,
no, you can. Go ahead.
It's a good ship for the price that you're paying, which is what? It's like $250, right?
$260.
$260. You know, that's not a bad price. It hands way above a standard Andromeda. It doesn't have the firepower of Andromeda, but there's nothing like it. And if you're into Inforunning, if you're into smuggling, if you're into trading, if you're into all of those things, and you want to go long distances fast, like there's no other ship like it. So
and the fact that you can put a rock in the back does mean you could even do mining as well. So
put a rover in there too.
So it is a very versatile ship. I think I'd agree. It is a less firepower heavy Andromeda, or even a Taurus. It doesn't have a firepower of those, but then it's not supposed to. But it certainly has the I suppose the maneuverability in atmosphere, just like all Crusader ships. It's got the I can go anywhere on an oily rag. The thing that gets me is, and I hate U4 Execute pointing out that it was on stilts.
Yeah.
And it
had to be done.
It had needing those, you want those crawl spaces or those spaces underneath, but because you need crouch spaces rather than crawl spaces, just for characters being able to get through without getting caught on geometry or stuff. It couldn't be crawl spaces. So when you get once you get to that point where you need to have crouch spaces rather than crawl spaces, you make the ship grow. And it is a larger ship than an Andromeda by a country mile.
I do hope they make those like that maze, so to speak, underneath customizable eventually. Because if they don't make it customizable, they might as well have just made it normal vents that went above, not below or around, And so the whole thing. But if you can customize that vent system and make it a different maze, or maybe even pick from a selection, that would be heaps better, because humans are always going to know it. Like, they're going to know it off by heart. So that's my only real drawback to this ship. Just real quickly before we move on, the other two smugglers, Paul, I just want you to compare those, and Algared, you can give your 2 cents here as well, would be the Raelian and the Retaliator, with their two different versions but they do it in a completely different way. Where do you think this sits in the smuggling rank? Like, is it 1, 2, or 3 in that rank? Real quick.
I would say 1, because number 1, because the info running could be its own smuggling, running illegal data from point A to point B. None of the other ships can do that.
So you kind of get 2 for the price of 1.
It is like, this is the Millennium Falcon. It's almost built like the Millennium Falcon, and even in lore, like the Star Citizens versions of Han and Chewie, which is Alex Dugan and Maz Hulan.
She's very hairy.
Sorry. They're both they're like they fly an MSR. Like, you couldn't get any more obvious without like turning it into a literal a literal. It even has the same kind of manufacturer as the Star Wars lore, in terms of like a heavy ship manufacturer that does transport. Like this thing is the Millennium Falcon, and and with the Star Wars nerds that exist at CIG, and Chris Roberts being a huge Star Wars nerd, like, come on, this is not only the best smuggling ship, or will be the best smuggling ship. It is never going to be trounced unless they build some other kind of Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Algared, your thoughts?
I agree. Like even the turret gameplay in this is picking up that was deliberate in the original concept. Was taking the turrets from the Andromeda. Why? Because the Andromeda gave you that don't get cocky kid moment that you got with the Millennium Falcon. It was that. So they've tried to incorporate everything that was originally Andromeda-ish, but was picking up that Star Wars vibe, and put it into a ship that is more the Millennium Falcon. With the crawl spaces, I think the advantage of those will depend on how they use them in terms of shielding, in terms of stopping scanning. And my thought is, rather than being actual shielded, it's just if they're a heat sink area for the computers, the heat in there would be what's actually doing the shielding, and then it wouldn't matter if you know them back to front. You're not going to know where people are hiding.
I just want to add two things, and then we're moving on because we've stayed on this way too long. Negatives, because there's no one mentioned really any negatives besides the silts. For me, not any windows. They didn't put any windows in the ship. It's really weird. And they was promised there was meant to be a skylight above the recreation area where the chess table is. That never developed, and Paul's fallen into the Twilight Zone. And you're back though. You're back now. There's no second entrance, and apparently they're going to work that back in. There will be a second entrance into the ship. Because where all the components are in that back room, basically if they break in, the bad guys get to them before you do. But other than that, they're just some it needed negatives because it had a lot of good positives.
I think that negatives with the component room is the big negative that I find with that ship. It's just too easy to knock out if you bought it.
All right. I think I'll start with a caveat here. Because Tumbril is mostly vehicles, we probably don't recommend any of these unless you're CC throwing with them or you've got more money to burn than you know what to do with. They are great for streamers, so I'll probably let you comment here a bit, Paul, about how they are to play with, because I personally don't own any vehicles. I got rid of all of them because they just don't maximize in value. But tell us your thoughts on the Cyclone, and I guess there's going to be about 4 of them here, isn't there? So if you want to break them up, feel free. We got 5. We got 5, 6. Shish. It's just it's all Cyclone and tank.
They just keep growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the best one, Paul? Straight off the bat, is it the MT still?
The MT still. It's just that much better. So the problem is that a lot of the Cyclone is built for gameplay that isn't fully in yet. So the gameplay that the Cyclone is good for is sneaking up on turrets on areas that are that are heavily guarded with air defense. So you rock up and with your MT and just blow away some ground targets. Let me refresh my side real quick because I see I'm like
from my side, you're both going all pixely, so it might be something on my end. Just let you know. And Algared's constantly been flashing black the whole time. I don't know what's causing that, but
hold on.
We'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Yep. Algared, your thoughts on the Cyclone series?
They are fun to drive. They're very quick and fast. I pick up Paul's point about them being able to be sneaky. I've heard people talk about the ballista and how when it's sitting down on planet, identifying from space is really hard. You don't see it until it's fired. It's like a SAM site. There's a SAM site there. I know that because there's a missile firing at me. And this is smaller than a ballista. So if a ballista is hard to see and identify and pick up, these are even harder. So it makes that sneaky move up onto a base even better. I think I still prefer an Ursa for that sneaky move because A, it can carry troops, and B, it's also got besides the guns, and it's got atmosphere controls because it's enclosed. But certainly these are quicker and more fun to drive.
For me, I think the one that is yet to be seen is the RN, the one with the scanner. I think that's going to be really pivotal to work with, like ground missions and stuff like that, and even kind of like obviously reconnaissance. So right, so they're over here. So when you come in, you go here and stuff like that. So strategic planning and stuff like that. So it is a stealth vehicle in my opinion. If you can drive in and get in there and kind of give get the lay of the land and stuff like that. So I think that this one is yet to be seen, in my opinion.
And even if you could use that for highlighting a target for bombers or artillery, kind of like a forward observer. I could see that being used for the RM being used for that as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of issues with the Cyclone, because the Cyclone, there's like the RN and the TR, like everything but the MT are just not purposed. Like they don't really have a purpose in the game right now, other than just driving around and having fun. Yeah, I think eventually they will, though.
It's a little weird that we kind of got like Theaters of War has obviously had an impact on this, because that MT screams what's happening. So they're basically going, oh, we kind of need the TR and we kind of only need the AA, and they've just gone bang and made an MT. And so, yeah, I feel sorry for those that brought they should almost just go, here, everyone have an MT and get rid of the other two. It would just save a lot of time, but dollars, reasons. The Tonk, I'll let Algared, you best come off the rank. What's your thoughts on the Tonk?
He's got a big gun.
Okay, that's Algared's hot take on the tank. No, just.
Well, no, I think it to me it doesn't really fit as being an ordinary. When I think of a tank, I don't think of a tank that's also got troop space. This is more, to me, it feels almost like an armored fighting vehicle or something where you've got room for a small platoon. I question why take the Spartan if you've got a tank? Because you've got bigger gun, you've got bigger armor. I know the Spartan.
You got more people. It's probably more people, and you're just trying to get foot soldiers in. Paul, I think much like the Cyclone, I think we're kind of waiting for the more ground gameplay. Do you think the tank falls into that same pit hole, so to speak? Or not pit hole, but you know what I mean?
Yes, but at the same time, the tank's gun is the second most damaging weapon in the game. The size 5 on that tank is second only to the Idris railgun.
Yeah,
in terms of damage output,
it's pretty crazy.
Nuts. Yeah, so it is a very effective, like it is a ship with wheels, is what it is, or it's ship with treads.
Sorry, I've just remembered it. Yeah. It fires missiles too. I forgot about that. Yeah, so you can still do. I remember seeing someone shoot someone down with missiles recently. Yeah,
yeah. It's got the size 5 cannon and has 2 size 2s, I think, on the top, and then missiles. So like it is a ship. It is like essentially an Ares with tracks. Is essentially.
With a bespoke,
kind of like a half a Vanguard, or
bespoke gun, so to speak. Yeah.
And confirmed from Whitley's guide today, it can be used in space.
Yes.
Well, just to comment on that episode, we can all comment on it really quick. It was very weird with the silence, and Paul, I'll let you, because you said it, and I totally agree with you. Just say what you're saying about the sign language that I obviously can't do for shit, but that was a really great idea. And if they ever watch this video, I want them to see that feedback.
So there was a comment in one of the videos that Jimmy should be signing instead of just gesturing. He should be gesturing, but also signing. ASL or whatever. And the thing is that CIG actually has ASL, like sign language
animations.
Animations. Yeah. So it would make sense for him to be signing and then have like little subtitles of what he's supposed to be saying. And then the difference being that what he's signing is not the same thing as the subtitles to add to the comedy.
So Jimmy.
Anybody who knows,
send help.
Jack's come back. Help.
Jack's come back. I have no idea what I'm doing. Please, God.
Yeah. That could have been really good. And it would have. Yeah, and it would have been really funny because all the people that know science would be like, it would have spread. It would have been a little bit viral, I think, and it would have been kind of funny that they have this inside joke that they get it first because they happen to speak it. I think that's really kind of cool. And you could even do like carry that over to other languages too, like the Zion and stuff like that. But I know they don't do that in Whitley's Guide. But yeah, I'm just saying throw that out there, so maybe we'll see that come back again with alien language or something. So yeah. All right. Last but not least for Tumbril, and I think for today, I could be is the Ranger series. Now, I'm going to throw this out there, and it'd probably be an unpopular opinion with a lot of Origin owners, but I'd rather see this than the X1. Mainly because the X1 is very similar to what we already have, and this is actually on the ground in a bike. But yeah, your thoughts, guys, on the Ranger series?
It's not worth the money that you're spending on it, but it's cool as hell. It is cool as hell. It's definitely just cool.
Definitely an earning game
factor. But it's at the same time, like the cheapest Ranger is like $20. So like it's like the value isn't $20, but if you got $20 laying around and you want a cool bike,
why not?
Why not? You know, it's so cheap in terms of its prices that it's just like, okay, you know.
Yeah, it's a bike. And so many people like the bikes. And if the Tumbril is fun to race around in, the bike's even more fun.
Do you think
I'd love to see these?
Do you think Algared should come before the X1, or would you rather see the X1 before this? I'm just curious.
I'd rather see a proper bike. I'm sick and tired of seeing hover crap.
Yeah, my thoughts.
You know, I hate the Nova, not the Nova, the Nomad for that. It just, to me, doesn't fit with the theme of the manufacturer. I know I'll get a lot of hate for that because people think, oh, no.
We still get a lot of hate for those comments. But I think that
ship is an absolute piece of crap. I'd love to see this be able to fit really nicely into the 400 as well. So the 400 not only just be able to take an X1, but any of the bikes.
Yep.
The only one I'd say not to be able to take would be the Dragonfly, because that's kind of a ship/bike type hybrid.
And just to spite Drake, I think that would probably something.
Yeah, and because you're putting who would ever think of putting a great piece of gaffer tape stuff into a 400?
All right, this episode has gone longer than I wanted it to go, but that's all right. We're all sharing and stuff. So let's get on to the Warbond CCUs. So we do have a selection here. The A2 is still there because it was released, so that is one that you can grab onto. And that is, I believe it's I'm totally, my brain's turned off all of a sudden. Is that a $75 saving?
It is a $75 saving.
Then we have here, we've got a $40 saving with the M2. Sorry.
The M2
today as well. We've got a brain not working. $30 less on the Inferno, and that'll be on both the Inferno Ares, Ares Inferno and Ares Ion. And then we go on to skins. So just your opinion here, guys. I'm going to go through the three for the. I think that's the three for the Ares. What's your preference there? If you had to pick, I'm going to say it's not the. I think people are over the camo, personally. Paul, what's your preference there? Don't have a preference?
I like the green.
Yeah.
The green.
I think that's
fine.
Yeah, I like the hexes.
Yeah. So I think that's probably going to be the popular one because that's very similar to the Timberwolf, and a lot of people have been buying the Timberwolf. This one seems to me like they got the Inferno and the Ares had a baby, and it's just somewhere in the middle. So yeah. And then we also realized that when the A2 came out, they actually had new paints come out for that as well. So we thought we'd show those off today as well. I think this will probably be the most popular of those three. These other two, I think this falls into the camo park, and I think this one's just a little bit plain Jane. But that now makes the Ares have not the Ares, sorry, the Hercules series got 7 skins. Crazy. You want to say, Algared?
But I think a lot of people, like with the camo things, I think it seems to be the thing people are getting tired of is, it's an Arctic skin. Oh, we got another Arctic skin. I haven't really heard those complaints about the other types. It's just, we've got a new skin. Oh, it's the Arctic. That seems to be what I'm what
well,
I hear.
Yeah, because it's on every single ship. That's the problem. It just seems lazy. So yeah, but realistically, the other one is that that blue and black one. That's appeared on almost every second ship as well. So that's up there as well. It just shows you how quickly
but that blue and black one is really just a reversal of the IAE, isn't it?
Yeah, and but it shows you, even when you start to look at it, you can start to realize how quickly they can pump these skins out. And as I said yesterday with the Redeemer, like they're actually not like even reversing the decals. That's how lazy it is. Like they if they change the decals, you actually are losing detail and paying more money. It's kind of weird. All right, we haven't gone into merch. So I just want you guys to, I'll start with Paul. Paul, pick out your highlights for me, because so we'll just do a selection of things that you think people may be interested in. So,
well, I mean, Star Citizen Collector's drink set is
that one.
Great. That's great. I mean, it's unique. It's something that you could actually use properly. And is it overpriced? Probably, but it's also collector's edition, and like those nice Scotch glasses with Star Citizen logo on it. As long as it isn't some sort of cheap like sticker, as long as it's like laser engraved or something like that, that would be fine. And
like the paint comes off the cubes and goes into your drink. That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah.
So it does look fairly good quality. I'm going to be honest. Nice thick tumbler. It's
even the coasters look really good.
Yeah, the coasters even look good quality as well. Yeah. Okay, so they're definitely up in their marketing game. That's for sure.
Yep. Other than that, I would say, of course, there's the plushie family, which is the Stormwall, which is
All right, I was going to let Algared have a go, but
one day that'll arrive.
Yeah, me and Algared have both ordered one of these, so we don't have one yet. So
Algared, one day.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any for you, Algared?
I did get the Ports of Stanton shirt, and as was seen in the
this one?
It's that it's the Hurston PJ shirt that I wore on the first day.
It's kind of like Hawaiian shirt,
and I actually think the quality of that shirt is actually it's kind of that Hawaiian shirt. I think the quality of that is actually better than the carrot shirt.
I think for me it's not the quality so much, it's the design. I think they probably need to up some of their designs. Like this mouse pad for me, right? So I'll just do mine as the mouse pad, right? But the mouse pad for me is a return to form. Like that's going back to the ones we used to have, like none of this plain Jane stuff. So this is, and not only that, you can pick the areas you prefer to be front and center, and they just swap, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice touch. Certainly, it's better than the Origin one, which is a white background with all the ships in side view. White background or light background, it shows up the grime and dirt more. So hey, maybe that's planned obsolescence. You'll have to replace the mouse pad.
Right, so Paul has to get one of these ones, which is the Cobbler Shaker, because he's the Astropub, so he'll need to get one of those.
Sorry, Paul's already got one of those.
I already have one of those.
Oh, you've already ordered
I already have one of those. It's coming at some point in the next 4 years, whenever they ship those out.
That's right.
And I think the only other two new ones, if you guys correct me wrong, is the Pico Penguin slippers that came out the other day, and the Infinity Pullover.
The Infinity Pullover.
I do know SA was talking about this one before the show, so you might get one of those.
I think I'd like the Infinity Pullover if it wasn't a hoodie.
Yeah, I like in Australia, we're used to these zip ones, and it's just easier to get on and off. So yeah, but maybe I'm just being a big man baby there. But I don't know.
You are, but that's okay.
Well, there's no I don't know. There's no reason they can't, because there's nothing on the front. But yeah, I digress.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we've missed that's new, guys? There are some ones that are on sale.
Probably not new, but it is probably worth looking at, say, some of the sales where the Origin Jumpworks fleece jumpers is significantly reduced in price.
So see, this is as a comparison. So this is not as good as a mouse pad, in my opinion. It's just a bit too plain. It is just nothing that grabs me there. I think that's kind of it. Short and sweet for that one. Oh, not really. It's a very long episode. This is now our longest episode for AIE so far.
Really?
We were going to talk about the Warbond CCU warp chain for the A2.
We were going to talk about what, sorry?
You did say we were going to do the Warbond.
I will do that on the actual CCU chain episode at the final day. Yeah, that's cool. No, it doesn't hurt to check. So basically, we will we'll do it on the final day. But yeah, again, if you've been putting your CCUs together, the ones that have been coming out every day, and hopefully, like last time, they'll all be available in those last 3 days, and so you can just sit there and build them all on the final day. But yeah, like especially things with like the Carrack and the A2 having $75 off. Like you could, as SA was saying, it'll be cheaper than the concept, which is kind of crazy, but. We saw it with the Polaris, so why wouldn't we see it again? All right, anything, Paul, that you would like to add before we sign off? Nope.
No. Right. It's we've had a long episode.
We have, and we'll see you tomorrow for the next one. Algared, anything you would like to add?
Leave your comments. Be respectful. We do read every comment. We don't always answer them, but we do actually read every comment. Join us on Discord and chat. Again, we do read every comment. We don't always answer. And if you like what we're doing, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And if you want to go the extra mile, join us on Patreon.
That was what this meant, by the way, when Paul did this. That's what that meant. But he got it.
I was going to say, I was going to say Patreon. Join us, pay us, give us your money. As if we tickled your interest, if we massaged your brain a little bit today, and you feel like, you know what, I'm gonna throw him a coffee, then just join us on Patreon, please.
Yep.
And you'll be back to
quality and other stuff. So yeah,
you'll be back tomorrow, Paul. Yeah, for I don't know what tomorrow is now. I have forgotten, but you'll be back tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Biscuit Day. No, Biscuit Day is the last day. It's,
oh God! But he's back. Paul's back tomorrow. Algared may or may not be here. I'm not too sure. I have to check the schedule again.
I hope to be.
As Algared said, I haven't been replying as much as usual this week for obvious reasons, but I am still reading them all. So if I may get back to you all down the road, and if it is something really important that you need help with, please hit us up on Discord. That is because if you message me on Discord, I know you really need help. So yeah, if you want help, hit me up on Discord. All right, he's been Astropub, he's been Algared, I've been Execute, and we'll catch you all tomorrow. I just said y'all, man. You're having an infect on me, Paul.
Yeah, y'all.
Y'all.
Oh, God.
It's so nice. It works so good.